On behalf of your host, Steve D., this is Bruce Buffer saying thank you for tuning in to Xtreme Lyfe. And now, this is the moment Xtreme Lyfe fans around the world have been waiting for. It's time!
Hey, and we're live. This is Steve D. I'm here at XtremeLyfe.com, Xtreme Lyfe Podcast. I'm hanging out here today with Brian Sadowski. He is a coach. I've known Brian for a long time. He's a coach, a CrossFit coach at CrossFit Barbending. Does a lot of great things there. Works with the kids there. He has a big program. It's just growing like crazy. I mean, these kids seem to be just multiplying in that program. So thanks for coming on the show, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you here. So how long have I known you? I first met you when? I mean, God.
2014, 15, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And what was that? Where was that at?
Endorphin
CrossFit, yeah. Which was, rest in peace, is no longer there. But that's unfortunately, a lot of CrossFits they pop up, and unfortunately because of the market and the way it goes. But CrossFit Barbending's seems to be a mainstay there, and it's just seems to be growing and getting bigger, and a lot more happening there. More coaches, more people coming to work out. I see new faces in there all the time. It's where I work out in East Brunswick. Great place. You started CrossFit. Was it around that point, or was it prior to that? Tell me a little bit about what got you here.
All right. So I was probably 15 or 16 years old, and I had a baseball coach, and his sons were very good baseball players. They were all drafted by Major League Baseball. One of them made to Major League Baseball and had a nice career.
Wow. Okay.
So I was playing on his son's team, and he recognized that I had a skill set, but I was lacking in strength and speed.
Okay.
So at one point he goes, "Hey, you got a nice swing. You know the game. You know the ins and outs. You got to take it to the next level. You got to get stronger. You got to get faster." So
work on those other things. So you had power, right?
I had skill.
Okay.
I didn't have I had power, but I needed more.
Okay. All right. So you had the skill set, but not the other pieces. Okay.
Exactly. So he hands my dad a business card and says, "Here, take him here." Ended up being Gold's Gym out in Flemington.
Okay.
Where I hooked up with this guy named Tony Tierno, and Tony and his wife ended up becoming my first trainers from the time I was about 16 to 18 years old. Ended up having a nice high school career thanks to them. Got some college looks. Was playing college ball for a while, but I kind of lost the passion for it. For me, it was something I always did with my friends, and if I had to do over again, I would have sucked it up and grinded it out.
Yeah.
But I kind of threw in the towel at 19, unfortunately.
Was it because you had fun with your friends and you just didn't do the work on your own kind of thing, or was it?
No, it was more of I played in a very competitive high school baseball team. We were very good, multiple guys. Played professional baseball, Division I college baseball. I was physically a late bloomer.
Okay.
I didn't really, I was scraping the surface at 18.
Okay.
The problem was I ended up going to, and it's nobody's fault per se, ended up going to Middlesex County College, playing fall baseball there. But it's odd to say now, but looking back on it, my high school had better facilities.
Yeah.
We had a private facility.
So the high school had better facilities than the college that you were going. Okay,
yes.
That's unusual.
Yeah, it is, but not in New Jersey. Since there's so much private, and basically what I do now is Genesis is based off of that.
Yeah.
Having a private facility with better equipment, and I was there, and a lot of my friends went and played Division I baseball, and they kind of ended up going through the same thing. Baseball at the time wasn't a big Northeast thing because it's more of a Florida or a down south and out west.
The weather has
a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
And now they're building private facilities in New Jersey. There are domes and these indoor arenas with just turf where you can you can't necessarily play a game, but you can work on the skills.
Yeah.
So I got out of it, whatever. Ended up working at the gym that I trained at for 3 years, and that was kind of that was my first foray into the fitness industry.
Okay.
I started out as the guy who would, somebody comes in and loads up the leg press with like 1,100 pounds, does 2 reps and walks away. I was the guy who'd put the weights back.
Okay.
So I started at the bottom. I was at the
You were the
bottom.
weight. You were the weight put back guy.
The only
I don't
thing
even know what that's called. Is that a weight back, like a bar back for like a?
It got to the point where I was so good, I was taking 3 45-pound plates in my hands and taking them off at a time and putting them back on the horns.
Yeah.
That's how much time I spent doing that. I was like, there's got to be a better way. I'll take more.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into that. And I spent some more time with, like I said, the guy who was my original mentor, Tony, and just kind of like learning from him, picking his brain, the early influences of like Tom Platz, Dr. Fred Hatfield.
Yep.
Those guys, squatting 500 reps for, competition was how many times can you do it? And I've never done it once, and they were doing like 20 and 30 reps at 500 before taking a break. That was the initial thing.
Wow.
At that same time, you had the crossroads of Westside Barbell.
Yeah.
And Westside Barbell was starting to become the dominant player in the powerlifting world. And, at that specific time, a lot of the college, NFL teams, coaches, whatever, started to kind of look at that. Like, what were they doing there? Now it's all the rage, bands and chains and all that. But, the guys at Westside have been doing that for years. Yeah. So I've known of Louis Simmons for 20 years now. I've known of all those guys who are now the hierarchy. Yeah. I've known who they were since before it became mainstream.
Yeah.
Even like strongman stuff and power cleans and snatches,
which is all becoming popular now, which wasn't at that time probably, right? It wasn't really that big for a long time, and now you see people doing it, everywhere. You're like, strongman competitions, or, it used to be something you watched on TV where the guy throws the log like 20 feet or something like that. Yeah. Now it's like, you see it commonly in gyms now, where,
So at that time, and back to my being an athlete, it was myself and maybe a half dozen other kids on my team. We all trained all winter. Yeah. So every time we hit the field in the spring, everybody's like, those kids are so big and strong. How'd they get like that? And the truth is we just lifted weights, and nobody else was really doing that in baseball at that time. Yeah. We saw, obviously Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa were cheating, but we saw that, that kind of motivated us. Well, they're big and strong. They're hitting home runs. We want to big and strong. We want to hit home runs.
Bigger, stronger means more power. More power means you hit further, and
and with Tony guiding us, we were doing more athletic things, power cleans, step ups, lunges, jumping. Okay. We weren't just.
So it wasn't just powerlifting.
It wasn't just like bench press and run on the treadmill. Yeah. Which is the common young guy.
Well, you have the big 4 lifts of powerlifting, and that's pretty much what you do, but not. You guys were taking it to a different level, almost CrossFit style.
And we didn't know what it was. It didn't have a name. It was just training. Yeah. It wasn't marketable or anything. It was just work, and you did the work, and you got better.
Yeah. It was before Glassman came along and kind of changed the game a little bit.
and hanging out there, I got to meet guys like Joe Klecko. Okay. Play for the Jets.
Yep.
You're an MMA guy. So remember Dan the Beast Severin?
Yep, Dan Severin.
Remember Dan was sitting on a bench, and Tony goes, "Hey, you want to go meet him?" And I'm like, "No." He looks like he wants to hurt people. He's like, "Hey, Dan, I want you to meet somebody," and he couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah, couldn't have been nicer. Sweet guy. Yeah. No, it's you would be surprised. A lot of people look at the MMA guys, and it's kind of funny because they're like, those guys, they get in there and they go into the ring with one mindset, and their mindset is to basically win. Yeah. At any, whatever they got to do to get there. But when you see them outside of the ring, most of them are not like, these people like you would think they'd be like these mean guys or just these. They're not. They're you see it a lot where a guy, somebody, whether it's male or female competition in MMA, they get into a fight, they knock the other person out, and then they're like trying to help the person up, and they're giving them a hug, and it's a whole, it's a sport just like anything else, and that's what people don't always understand. But
so at that point, that was my first coaching foray. Is Tony was very involved in Special Olympics. Okay. Involved to the point where him and Arnold could call each other Schwarzenegger, because Arnold used to be very. I don't know what his level of involvement is anymore. But Special Olympics. So he gives me this kid, and it probably wasn't a kid. He's probably older than I was at the time. Yeah. He goes, "Hey, I want you to train Don." Okay. All right. He goes. I was like, "What do I do?" Like,
Yeah.
well, just do what we do.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we went through, squat, bench, dead, step ups, some little bit of conditioning on, treadmills. We actually had like a track there.
Okay.
Like an area we could run. We could, do some sprinting and whatever. And Don was, a decent, Special Olympics powerlifter. He was not the best.
Yeah.
But we ended up going to the States or whatever. And I remember going in like, okay, we're just going to be competitive. We're not going to win, but we're going to put our best foot forward.
Go as far as we can. Right?
And as what happens from time to time in powerlifting is people bomb out.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, all right, all we have to do is not bomb out. We're going to win.
Yeah.
'Cause, the guy who was the favorite just kept missing lifts.
Yeah. Well, that happens.
Yeah.
Depends on the day.
Yeah. So I was like, we're going to go and, we're going to play it safe. As long as we're winning, we'll let it, we'll let our third attempt be something more extreme. He ended up making, going 9 for 9.
Okay.
Made all his lifts and ended up being the state champion that year.
Wow. Cool.
Now me being...
And that's your first experience coaching, right?
Yeah.
So your first experience really coaching an individual person was someone who made it to be state champion of the Special Olympics there. And you're right. And that's awesome.
So...
Makes you feel good.
Yeah, the next is my second mistake. My first mistake was stop playing baseball. My second mistake was what was to come next. So there was, like anything else, there's politics. Mm-hmm. Okay, and since Don wasn't one of the favorites or one of the people who was probably going to go to the Worlds, which is the goal for Special Olympics to go to the World Games, he didn't get the publicity that there'd be like an online newsletter that went out and it was like a small blurb at the bottom, and I was like. Not for nothing, but how does he get a small blurb at the bottom and he stayed champion? And you're talking about people who came in third.
Yeah.
I basically went to bat for my guy.
Okay.
Because he pointed it out to me. I went to bat for him, and then ended up creating some friction there.
Okay.
I'm 21 years old. Looking back on it, I know better now. I could see the big picture, but at that time I was just kind of fighting for my guy.
Yeah. Yeah, you saw something that was wrong and you went after it. I mean, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to advocate for your athlete, right?
Yeah. But a big picture thing, Special Olympics is heavily involved with sponsors and corporate and all this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting a sour taste in my mouth. I ended up probably leaving that gym probably about a year later.
Okay.
And started my current job, which then led me to CrossFit. So fast forward probably 7 years, I've left the gym life. I had put on tons of weight.
Okay.
I was probably 303 pounds at my heaviest.
Okay.
Which I was in denial because I told myself the entire time I was 265.
Okay. It took a few off there, right?
Yeah. So one day I stepped on a scale and I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
All right, we got to do something. Like, I know what to do. Let's put it into action. So basically, like, I became like a beer connoisseur.
Okay.
So I was trying all these different beers, I was going to football games, Saturday and Sunday every weekend, tailgating, whatever, and it just spiraled out of control.
And that's how you got to that point,
That's
right?
how I got to that point.
Yeah.
So then I'm going, back to the gym, getting back into my, squat, bench, dead, Stairmaster work,
Yep.
Wasn't
a lot of cardio, probably, right? No,
I was probably doing not as much as some. I was doing enough because I knew I needed it at that point.
Yeah.
I just needed to burn calories. So I'm at, what is my current job, which is an industrial complex, and I hear like this banging one day. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
And there's people running through the parking lot. And it's like a July morning. It's like 9 a.m. It's 97 degrees.
What the hell's wrong with these people?
Yeah. And I'm like, here comes these guys running out of the thing with no shirt on. Here comes these like, cute girls who are having fun, sprinting after them in the parking lot. I'm like, what the hell is this? And at that point, I had heard of CrossFit. I had never seen it.
Yeah.
So it was literally the door next to the door I went in.
Okay.
So I popped my head in there, and they're in there doing power cleans and deadlifts and pull-ups and squatting and shoulder pressing and split jerks and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, oh, this is a thing. This is CrossFit. I didn't know that's what CrossFit was.
You've heard the term, but you're thinking maybe like, because a lot of people think like cross country, or they start thinking in other, like they hear, I guess they take it and they make it kind of like something that it's not, you know.
So I was like, oh, this is CrossFit. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's got all the things that people should be doing, but nobody wants to do because they're hard.
Yeah. Things that make you want to
and
puke.
and that included me at the time. Like I was training, but I wasn't really getting after it.
Yeah.
So probably about 6 months go by, and I'm kind of just watching it, you know, because like they told me how much it cost, and I was like,
yeah,
that's a lot of money.
CrossFit can,
That's a lot of money.
That's, I think, a lot of people's first impression when they hear how much it is a month.
Yeah. So what ended up being the breaking point for me was I was going to the gym, and my gym locker ended up getting broken into, right? Because as happens in gym lockers.
Yeah.
And they took all my cash and my cell phone. So I had about like $200 cash. They took that and my cell phone.
Okay.
What they didn't do was take my credit cards and debit card. So I was like, no.
Well, they didn't want anything traceable.
Well,
that's
that's where I was wrong. The next day ended up being Valentine's Day. I go to pay for dinner, and my debit card declines. And I was like, I just got paid.
Yeah, how's that possible?
There's what's in my savings, which nobody can get at because I had that after things shut off. But how is I just got paid yesterday. Like, how is there no money in this account? I'm like, run it again. The guy's like, oh, sorry. So I'm like, all right, take this credit card. Runs it, decline. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
So that night, after my stuff got stolen, I was like, I need a new phone. So I go to Verizon or whatever, get another phone, pull up my Wells Fargo account. Negative $73. Apparently, I bought 10 iPads at a BJ's in Connecticut.
Oh, wow. All right, good for you.
Yeah. So I was like, all right. So I was like, all right, enough of this. I don't know if that was a sign or not, but I was like, all right, I'm going to try this CrossFit thing out because the gym was getting grimy.
Yeah.
Wrong kind of people in there. I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
All right, so I go to CrossFit, and I'm doing that for a while, and I'm like, all right, this is cool. And then I start, the coach in me starts kind of coming back.
Yeah.
I'm like, and seeing things, and I've always had like a thirst for knowledge.
Yeah.
And before I started doing CrossFit, I just kind of like started, when the CrossFit message boards used to be a thing. Mm-hmm. Now I think they're pretty much dead. Last time I checked, which was probably 6 months ago, the most recent post was probably 3 months old.
Well, that's a lot of people started following the main site and all that stuff where you used to get the workouts, and you see guys like Chris Spieler on there doing stuff, and like all these guys that ended up being games athletes, but there's nothing on there really anymore.
Yeah, it's pretty dead.
See it,
So I started reading that, and and there was always a thread like, oh, my quads hurt, my knees hurt, my back hurts, and the recurring thing in that was, you have to buy this book, That book was Becoming a Supple Leopard.
Okay.
So for me, I went way down that rabbit hole because somebody who doesn't have a college education, I'm reading this, and it made something that was pretty heavy material-wise, a little bit more digestible for somebody who
that's important.
isn't educated in that field. So I just went like way down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
And I started learning all these things, the human body and muscles and bones and tendons and ligaments and how it's supposed to move and what's not good and what's optimal and what's not optimal. And that was kind of like, opened up my mind to, I was like, now I really want to be involved. I want to learn more. I want to do more. I want to be a good coach. I want people to move properly.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting my CrossFit mobility certification before I got my level 1.
Okay.
It ended up being only about 3 weeks apart.
All right.
But I got my tax return. I was like, I'm doing both of these.
You got your $1,000 shirt and
$1,000 T-shirt. Yeah. Got to have a beer with Chris Spieler.
Yeah. And, he was teaching the class? Was he there teaching? That's cool. Austin Maliola did mine years ago.
Spieler and Dan Tominski from CrossFit Lindy was actually, he was a games athlete, and he was actually somebody that was in the seminar with me.
Okay.
And it was Spieler, Keith Wittenstein, Jen Hunter Marshall, Joey Dill, and another woman from Connecticut whose name escapes me. That was my level 1. So I ended up doing that. I ended up having my level 1 for probably a year and a half before I started coaching at Barbending.
Okay.
So, Barbending then hires me. I'm the new guy, and Barbending was trying to do different things at that time. They had the Ninja course, which is now long gone.
That's been gone for about a year now, I think, right?
Probably even more than that.
Yeah.
Thank
time
God.
goes so fast, man.
Oh, yeah.
That thing was huge, too.
So it took up so much space.
It was enormous.
So time goes by or whatever, and we're trying, they had a CrossFit Kids program, but it wasn't really doing anything. It was kind of there, but it wasn't really, making any noise.
Yeah.
So we get into that, and I'm just kind of seeing things, and I'm thinking to myself, I was familiar with Zach Evanesh. I knew what he did. he was over in Edison, at that time. Now he's in Manasquan at Scotch Plains. And I was like, well, I was a teenager who trained.
Yeah.
You go in these high schools and in the weight rooms, usually the football coach who runs the weight room.
Yeah.
Now, some know what they're doing.
Yep.
Most don't.
Yep.
But it's not a knock on them. They're doing the best they can.
Well, they're doing what they think is right,
Yeah.
and it may not be, always the best thing.
Yeah.
Especially for kids.
Oftentimes, it's like I played college football. This is
Yeah.
what we did in college. I'm going to apply it in high school. Not usually the best thing to do.
Yeah,
You're talking about novice athletes, kids who've never picked up a barbell or have never picked it up the right way.
Yep. They don't know how to move. I mean, the good thing is they're resilient, but you could still break them.
It's hard to blow them up, but it can be done.
Yeah.
They usually just do something stupid like drop a 45 on their toe.
And they're impulsive, right? So they just run all over the place. Because I see how you have a lot of kids sometimes at barbending, and you run a tight ship. I mean, you keep a good. I mean, they're hard to kind of manage, but you got to kind of say, hey, you don't want to be running underweight. You don't want to be, because you can get hurt a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's usually not the lifting that hurts you. It's usually you not paying attention to what somebody else is doing, and you end up hurting somebody else.
Yeah, and that's a bad.
But knock on wood, got a pretty good track record with that.
Great track record, and like I said, I see what you're doing in there, and it's always seems to be very, very controlled, but also very CrossFit. So
yeah. So back to the high school weight room. I'm like, there's a lot of coaches out there that are doing the best they can. They're just not equipped. Like, I'm not on the field calling plays because I wouldn't call the right plays, but I know this stuff.
Yeah.
Let me call the plays in here.
Yeah.
And with some high school programs, coaches, there's a bit of a back and forth between, all right, who's got the bigger ego kind of thing. And as the strength coach, you have to take a back seat, let them think they're winning.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, yeah, you want to do that? Yeah, we should do that kind of thing. And then just make it look like what they think it is they should be doing, but actually do what you want to do.
Yeah.
Which is,
So kind of yes them and then
do what needs to be done.
Do what you're going to do anyway. Yeah.
And they make the mistake. They're like, oh, we're going to do 1 rep maxes. You're going to take a kid who just put a barbell on his back 2 weeks ago and you can do a 1 rep max? What do you think that's
You're not going to get an accurate anything. So
I mean, we're talking years should go by before you consider that, that 1 RM or even just, a good 1 RM. It's like.
And plus, if you put somebody in a situation, you can determine within a reasonable margin of error what their 1 rep max might be. Yeah. Like if you work with someone for a couple of months, and then you could work off of that if you're looking for percentages. Because most people want their 1 rep max just because they want percentages off of that to know where they need to work, right?
And people see the West Side barbell guys, squatting 1,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, we should do 1 rep maxes then. And it's like, you got to understand that's their sport, and they've practiced that rep thousands of times. If you're the quarterback of the football team, I'm not going to put you on the bench to take a West Side barbell squatter to throw the football. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
But you got to marry the two together.
Yeah. And 1 rep maxes are not something you should be doing. I see people doing them way too often sometimes. Like not necessarily because we don't really do that much at barbending, but there's people in other places that I've been to, and it's like, what are you doing? 1 rep maxes. I'm like,
didn't you just do that the other day?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't change in a week.
No.
It's the same.
Come back in 4 months.
Well, exactly. That's my opinion. Is you should do your 1 rep max pretty much maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4 times a year.
Tops.
At the most, because other than that, you're just wasting your time, and you're not getting stronger. No. 1 rep maxes don't make you stronger.
No.
That's just a test. There's tests, and then there's strength building,
So that takes me then the next step is I start the program, and it was more CrossFit-ish at that time. I open the doors, and I have 2 kids.
Okay.
And I don't think either of them are even in the program anymore.
Yeah.
But that at least gave me something to work with.
It's a place to start.
It gave me a lot of time to screw up.
Yeah.
And then figure out, well, that didn't work.
And I think that's important, right? To that starting place to figure out what works, what don't. Because that's what makes any trainer, anybody in any field actually better. You got to fail first, right?
Yeah, so it was more CrossFit-y in those days. And I'm talking about almost 3 years ago now, which is weird to say. So within 6 months of opening, CrossFit football, which was then relabeled CrossFit Sports Specific, which is now just Power Athlete. So I went to that seminar in Philadelphia in the end of 2016, 17, somewhere around there. And that one kind of like opened up my eyes to like, oh.
Yeah, there's something different.
Now I need to I wasn't necessarily going to blow up what I did.
Yeah.
But it was giving me a better guiding principle.
Okay.
Because I never believed in 1 rep maxes, never got too heavy into, ones and, threes and twos. We're going to do, you'll see somebody like, we're going to do 6 doubles today.
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
So Power Athlete runs a program called Bedrock. And Bedrock is basically relies on a coach who, when it comes to loading the barbell specifically, you want a weight that's going to challenge posture and position, but we're not looking to, accordion the athlete by putting weight on their back either.
Yeah.
Nor do we want something that's too light.
Yeah.
We want to see the athlete work.
My dog is trying. She's like, hey, I want to be in on the conversation too.
She's in on it.
Go lay down. All right.
So take the CrossFit football course, and then, at that time, they're a business, so they're selling a product, and they're selling CrossFit Power Athlete methodology. And I dove head first
into it. Yeah.
And, and that, unlike the CrossFit level 1 and level 2, which I took, we're getting into like muscle fiber types. We're getting into different muscle contractions. We're getting into compensatory acceleration. We're getting into proper strength and conditioning, not just like,
So you're going into the real book stuff and looking at, really.
We're talking, muscle fiber cross sections, things like that.
Yeah. Fast, slow twitch kind of stuff. You're getting in there as well. Yeah.
And, there's this thing where you get like, not to get back to the old high school football coach, but I know when I was in high school, they were just like, all right, conditioning is we're going to run until you all drop.
Run until you're dead.
Which is counterintuitive to any real strength and conditioning.
Yes. Yeah. It's counterintuitive to just about everything.
Yes.
To be honest with you. But that's what they knew.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Let's get you all beat up and tired, and that means you worked out.
Yeah, because you figure the initial wave of strength and conditioning coaches in, after World War II is what the Army do.
Yeah.
They beat the hell out of them. All right, well, that's what we're going to do.
Boot camps.
You go down to to Bear Bryant and the Junction Boys, where he beat the crap out of those kids and regretted it afterwards. He's like, man, that was a mistake.
Yeah, and you can hear a lot of people talk about that today is like, overtraining is terrible for you. It's really, if you overtrain, and I think we're all guilty of it to some degree, but I think we don't always realize what overtraining is too, because overtraining, I mean, I tell you right, I'm overtrained right now because I could tell by how I'm functioning, even though I'm hitting certain lifts that I like, but I'm overtrained in some other ways where my endurance isn't where it needs to be because I'm waking up sore, I'm waking up,
Mm-hmm.
hurt, and I'm going to the gym anyway, and, you probably shouldn't do that in a lot of cases, right?
Yeah.
I know I'm my own worst enemy with that stuff, but, but Bergner talks about that. A lot of these guys who are these big Olympic lifters who came along and did some amazing things talk about, athletes that have overtrained, and it was kind of the methodology back at one point to just train until you couldn't move.
All they knew.
Yeah.
There was no sports science then.
No, it was just, pick it up, train with it, do the bent lifts and all that other stuff that you don't really see people doing nowadays that much. But, so I don't want to take away from what you were saying, but I just wanted to add that in there.
So, I guess it was probably 2 months after I started the CrossFit methodology, Power Athlete methodology. I got my first real guinea pig. First, high school freshman comes in, and I'm all right, I'm gonna throw everything I have at this kid.
Okay.
I'm gonna see, he's gonna be space monkey number 1.
Okay.
And,
is that what you called him? Or?
No. So he comes in, and I'm like, hey, all right. So I'm like, you came out. You spent the last 6 months in the high school weight room. What do you bench? And he's like, oh, I don't know, like 15. I'm like, dude, the bar's 45. He goes, oh, 15 on each side. I'm like, all right, we call that 75.
Okay. So that's where you're starting.
So basically, it was good because he hadn't developed any bad habits yet.
Yeah.
Like the typical high school coach cues, like look up, so they look up, which is not what we want to do.
No.
So,
but that's also old school lifting.
Old school lifting.
Old school lifting.
Yeah. I mean, you look up with your eyes, but don't move your head.
Keep your head neutral.
Yeah.
Neutral. Yeah.
So he comes in. He's space monkey number 1, and I don't remember exactly what he was squatting. Maybe 95 pounds, something along those lines. Just this past week, he did 3 sets of 5 at 320 pounds.
Oh, so you still have this kid?
He's still here.
Okay. All right. Cool.
And
You didn't kill Space Monkey number
Space
one.
Monkey is still living.
Space Monkey
He's
number
thriving.
one is alive and well.
He's thriving.
Just so everybody
He's thriving well.
knows.
He's going to get his varsity letter this year. He's just finished his
good.
junior year of varsity football, and looking forward to having the next, let's see, it's almost December now, the next 9 months of training to get him into his senior year.
Okay.
I got the first 3 months pretty much plotted out for him, and then
Okay.
we're going to see where it goes from there. I want to see him get his food choices to be a little bit better.
Yeah.
But,
No, that's-
his initial success has then, led to other kids coming and seeing it. And I've had other athletes who come in, different sports too, wrestling and
tournament, yeah.
wrestling and baseball, and ended up having like parents come in and they see that like if you're coaching with a passion, like
Yeah.
you really care,
Yeah.
then they tell other parents,
Yeah.
and
Yep.
that's how the business has really grown.
Yeah.
And I don't have billboards or
No, you don't really
anything
advertise,
else
right?
that goes out.
Yeah.
I sell T-shirts,
Word of mouth.
T-shirts and hoodies and words of mouth.
Yep.
And some people like what I'm putting down, which is obvious. You're there, you see the amount of
see-
kids that are in the gym now.
Yeah, I don't know. I know you had like a class of like 25 the other day, right?
Yeah,
it was
that-
just you or something. It was.
No, it's usually me and two other coaches. In the afternoon at 4:30, we usually do 15 or 16 kids.
Okay.
And that's two coaches there. It's important to have parents that know that you care. And I've had other people come in and like, oh, well, you need to do more. And I'm like, well, you don't need to do more because this is obviously working.
Yeah.
You have that old-fashioned mindset where more is more, and I'm more of, not necessarily less is more, but let's think about how we're gonna let's
Yeah.
plot a course. Let's not do random.
Well, random isn't a program, right?
Exactly.
That's I always try to tell people that is like a workout regimen, a program is going to be based on a 3 to 4 month cycle
Yeah.
of what you're going to do, and it's going to be very well plotted out to determine what you're to get to what your goal is, and a lot of times people are like, I just want to work out till I'm on the ground. Well, you don't
Yeah.
do that every day.
No.
Nobody does that every day.
No.
So-
And it's you got to keep in mind too, like the Space Monkey number 1 is an offensive lineman. Mm-hmm. Okay, Space Monkey number 5 is a 106-pound wrestler.
Are they going to watch this? Because they're going to be.
They might, I
They
don't
might
know.
know who they are.
Hey, they'll figure
And be like, "Hey, I'm Space Monkey number 1."
Yeah, Space Monkey number 5 is a 106-pound wrestler.
Okay, all right.
He's just entering his freshman season now. He'll probably letter in varsity this year.
Okay.
'Cause he's 106 pounds and he'll squat 250.
Hey, that's nothing to joke about, man.
No.
That's a good,
No, but, that's
double. That's his body weight and a double body weight. So
And that's the result of 2 years of hard work. Like
Yeah.
they don't walk in the door and I'm like, oh, let's see how much you can hold without falling down.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we're gonna lift this. What is a little bit of weight, and we're gonna just build it over time. Like
Yeah.
it's consistency is key. Like you can't come to the gym once this week and twice this week and then take a week off and then do 2 days and take a week off.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no,
You
you
got to
can't
show up.
be-
You got to put in the effort.
Yep.
And I give a credit to a lot of them because a lot of them are in high school weight rooms now, and they're kind of sandbagging it over there to make it look good because they have to go into the high school weight room. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And I tell them that. I'm like, look, you have to go.
yeah,
I said, but if you go and they want you to do certain things, like what's safe and what's not safe because I've taught you.
yeah,
Make it look good, but don't kill yourself.
yeah. Don't go there and burn yourself up. So when
Exactly.
you come here, you're fried.
Exactly. Exactly.
Because then it's not going to work out real well.
The other issue is training in the weekends in the morning. What'd you have for breakfast? Nothing. All right. And then like 20 minutes later, it's like, I don't feel so good.
Well, because you didn't
Well,
eat.
Here's one of those, go get a fuel for fire, give me $3, and
Yeah.
we're going to get back to work.
Yeah, no, it's you got to fuel yourself. I mean, that's the thing, and it's hard. I can imagine. Sometimes it's hard to coach adults for different reasons, but coaching kids because they're so impulsive. But I mean, they're like sometimes it's blank slate, but I think sometimes they also have that. Kids are. They're growing up a little differently than we did.
Yes.
I think. More or less, where when I was a kid, many years ago, it was, I was thrown out of my house at, on a weekend, or if it was summertime, get out at 8 o'clock in the morning, don't come back till lunch. Now it's like, don't go out. Where are you going?
Yeah.
Stay inside where I can see you and keep you safe.
Here's your iPad.
Yeah, here's your iPad or your phone. And that's what I think is so amazing about what you're doing, because you have so many kids that aren't they're working out, they're doing stuff that, I mean, a lot of their cohorts, as I guess I would call it, their friends and other and other schoolmates are probably not doing that.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is, and I'm gonna take a step back here, but I coached high school football and baseball for 5 seasons of each, and ended up winning a state title as a baseball coach, which was great. And as a coach, I had nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
The kids just scratched and clawed the entire time. It's a game we were losing. We ended up winning.
Yeah.
Ended up winning in dramatic fashion. Kid hits a walk-off home run in like the 10th inning.
Yeah.
So, I got out of that because a particular parent came up to me after the season. He's congratulating me on a great year as a coach. Coach, amazing year, way to go. Do you think next year so-and-so can play this position? And he wants to move this kid so his kid can play.
Yeah.
And, in baseball, if you're left-handed, you're kind of limited in what positions you can play.
Yeah.
And he wanted to move a left-handed kid to a position that he wouldn't be able to play.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, this kid's left-handed. He can't go to that. Oh, okay. How about you move? He's moving another kid.
He's trying to, yeah.
So,
outside influences starting to come in.
Yeah. And it's what we call daddy ball.
Yeah.
And what I give the kids that come to the gym a lot of credit for is I might be the first person who's ever told them no or that's not good enough.
Yeah.
And at first they're kind of like, what?
You mean everybody doesn't win all the time?
Exactly. So,
that's a terrible lesson to learn in life too. Is that what we teach a lot of these kids is you win all the time, because when you get in the real world, it's not the case, and they find out and they're not equipped to deal with that. And I think that's great that you're doing that, because it's teaching them character. You get more character from losing than you do from winning any day.
The best game I ever coached is a game we lost.
Yeah.
But I was so proud of the kids and the effort they put forth. It was like one of the best games I've ever played. The other team just got one more hit than we did.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
But back to where I was going with this is the kids, nobody tells them no. Very rarely anyway. And a lot of them have, if you're a baseball player, you have a hitting coach or a pitching coach, you're a football player, you have a position coach, or you go to a private quarterback guru, and they're sitting there telling you, oh, you're doing great, and that keeps the check coming in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
so they're filling in the blanks basically and crossing the T's.
Exactly. And they come to me and they're like, they do a half a squat, and I'm like, you gonna come back tomorrow and do the bottom half of that squat? And they're like, what do you mean? I'm like, let's take some weight off the bar. Right?
Yeah.
We've reached a point where you can't squat properly, so now we got to strip the weight off the bar to build back up.
Yep.
And at first,
that's an ego hit for a lot of people.
Yeah. They're very, very reluctant,
Yeah.
And it even gets to a point where it's like, there's not much separating the 12-year-old girls and the 12-year-old boys. And we've had some girls who've been with me a few years now and getting pretty strong.
Yeah.
And
hey, I know girls in CrossFit that would kick the crap out of most of the guys.
Most of us.
Yeah, I mean,
most of us.
There's girls out there that are like, it's kind of funny. I'm like, there's girls I know that could squat more than you.
But
definitely.
The one thing I do have going for me is the initial wave of space monkeys. I can have them say, take the weight off the bar. It's going to work. Trust me. Then they go and they squat 300 pounds for reps, and 12-year-old looks over there and goes, oh, well, if he says it's okay, then maybe I should do that.
And maybe I should take my ego out of the way. And,
and work on executing the movement.
Yeah.
And that's usually how it goes down. And I should be clear, there aren't just kids who come in to enhance their athletic performance. Some of them come in because they have parents who see the issue of the iPad and the PlayStation and the iPhone and
want to make sure
the complete lack of movement.
Yeah.
And it shows up in coaching. I know when I first walked in the gym at 16, they told me to squat. Like, I knew how to do it. I didn't necessarily need to be told to, pull your rib cage down, push your butt back. Maybe like 1 cue and I was good to go.
Yeah.
These kids have very little physical literacy.
Yeah. Because they're not learning it.
They're not learning it. Gym class, no knock on gym teachers. But
some places barely have a gym class anymore.
Or like,
or don't even have one.
Like, I work in a public school district, and I'll see the kids, they just walk around the gym.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, okay, that's better than sitting there and doing nothing.
Yeah.
But we're not really you could teach it and make it fun and make it interesting. Like, is it for everybody? No, but neither is math or biology or chemistry.
Get them involved somehow.
Yeah.
Find out where
Exactly.
they, meet them where they're at and try to figure out how to bring them where you want them to be.
Exactly.
I mean, that's
And you talk about like teachers who've had a positive influence from a physical nature. I mean, look no further than Henry Rollins. Mm-hmm. And his story of the teacher seeing a kid with no confidence, constantly walking around with his head down. He punched him in the chest one day and was like, stand up straight, he showed him how to do pull-ups and push-ups and lift weights, and, kid started to believe in himself, and, now he's Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
Well,
sometimes it just takes that with a kid, especially today's day and age where, I know, years ago it used to be like when you were somebody who was bullied, because I think we've all dealt with bullies in school at times, but it ended when you went home. Now you have it constantly barraging you with social media, and it could do damage to a kid and their confidence level and their ability, so sometimes it's like when they have this place like you have going on, they have a place where they can go and build that confidence so that they can come back and not let that stuff get to them the way they might otherwise.
And you see the kid when he finishes a lift that he had doubt about. He's like, I don't know if I can lift this. It's kind of heavy. And then they get it, and you can kind of see their eyes light up at the end, like I did it.
Yeah.
That's very rewarding. It's like that kid now believes in himself. And I've never seen a generation of kids who have so little self-belief. Not to say that there aren't kids out there that exist that are like, I can do anything. But but usually those are the girls.
Really?
The girls come in and they want to burn the gym down. They're like,
really?
Let's go, let's get it.
Well, that's interesting. I did, because I don't, I just see you guys doing your thing.
Yeah.
I'm usually on the other side of the gym, but, that's an interesting dynamic.
And I'm sure, anybody that's worked in schools can tell you, the girls are a little bit more focused.
Yeah.
They're a little bit more I don't want to say maybe goal oriented is not the right word or not, but they're
mature. They're more mature.
Yeah.
And
they kind of come in and they might be a little shy at first, but once they kind of understand what it is they're doing, they take it and run with it.
Yeah.
Whereas the boys are kind of fooling around or in some ways timid.
Yeah.
In some ways timid, and I think that has something to do with, just the message that goes out now.
Yeah.
We tell girls, you can be anything you want.
Yeah.
We tell little boys to sit there and be quiet and don't get in fights and
don't get in trouble.
Don't get in trouble.
So we send out, you can and you can't, is the two messages you kind of send out.
Here you go, little boy, play with that.
Yeah.
And they ended up, getting those up. When I was a kid, it was like, can I jump over that on my bike? Let's find out.
Yeah.
And it usually didn't work.
Yeah.
But, we learned.
And you got beat up a little bit, but,
Can I climb that tree? And most of the times you could,
Yeah.
I asked the kids, any of you climb trees? They're like, what?
Why would I do that?
I could get dirty.
Yeah. Well, it's, like I said, it's the different generation. It's a whole different, and every time I talk like this, I feel 100 years old. But, it's just, you can't ignore it. It's just, it's a different time with different things going on, and the kids just do different, they are brought up very differently than we were.
Yeah.
We used to take playing cards and ride our bikes with the playing cards and the spokes and do, and ghost ride our bikes. You ever do?
Yeah. I just remember finishing double, the first practice in a double session of football. It's we would leave practice. We would go to somebody's house who had a pool. We would annihilate every piece of food they had in the house. And then we'd go to the next practice.
Yep.
And these kids just don't eat. I'm like, what'd you eat today? I had a Pop-Tart and...
so good food choices.
Half a cookie. And, I had an apple slice.
So they're making great food choices and nothing but sugar.
Nothing but sugar and not enough calories.
Yeah.
And it's we would go there and be like, all right, I need 3 hamburgers.
Yeah. That's the way it was at our house, too.
Give me that entire bottle of orange juice.
I had that house growing up where everybody hung out, It was because, my parents just, I guess they figured, hey, if everybody, if we were at least at the house, they knew we weren't, getting in too much trouble with, they kind of knew a little bit what we were up to, but we'd be out playing manhunt and stuff at night, doing all that stuff, but, or when it got later. But, it was like that, everybody would come to my house and we would just devour food. I mean, I can't even tell you how much that my parents and my family must have spent on the food. food because we'd be in there, we'd be having pasta and all kinds of stuff.
There was no stone, like you're opening drawers and cabinets looking to find like anything. Like there's got to be one more Pringle in this too.
The kids in the neighborhood used to walk in my house and just start opening cabinets. You would think like, whoa, what the heck's going on here? But that's just the way we were. I mean, that's the way we grew up.
And you had 5 or 6 teenage boys. When this house was out of food, we went to the next house.
Yep. No, absolutely.
Then we went to football practice, but you can't say we were underfed.
No, no, and that's it. But you're out there running around, you're playing, and you're playing hard, you're eating right. And in a way we were a lot, I guess a lot healthier. Calm down. All right, but so it's like but it's. That kind of goes to what you're doing. I mean, that's why it's so great that you have so many kids. I mean, like I said, I was surprised. The other day I walked in there, I was like, it looked like, because you had them running back and forth, doing different things in the gym. And it was almost like they went this way, and then when they came back, there was a lot more of them. I was like, they multiplied on the other side of the gym somehow and came back this way. Because they're just such, and you and the coaches there are doing such an awesome job with them. I mean, it's it's got to be incredibly rewarding.
It is to see where it's gotten to this point. Now it's to a point where it's like, okay, classes are getting too big.
Now what?
How do I need more classes. How do I go about doing that? How do I go about finding coaches? How do I vet coaches? How do I, get people that are reliable? I mean, that's the hard part. I've had coaches in the past who,
Well, I know you got Juice and Lindsay and Courtney working with you, and they're all great.
Matt was great, but he had an opportunity to move to California, so he took that. And you get people who are like, okay, I'll be there at 4 o'clock, and it's 4:10. It's like, all right, like not a good look. Like, as much as I love the program, I also want a day off sometimes. And unfortunately, in a small business like this, like I have to be there 99.5% of the time. I'm taking a week off in about 2 weeks, going to the Power Athlete Symposium.
Okay.
But I'm going there to learn more. My vacation.
So it's like a business vacation.
My vacations now revolve around like learning something.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not a bad thing.
So I'll be away for 4 days, but I've already scheduled out with the staff of like who's going to be there these days. And I know I got a good, reliable team. And people can't be there. They usually tell me, 8 weeks in advance, and I couldn't be more thankful for that. Something comes up last minute, no problem, we'll figure it out. But and when you become the person who becomes unreliable, like we can be friends, but you can't work here.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's sometimes hard, because I work in a field where I manage a bunch of people too, and it's like I like to be friendly with people, but understand one thing. I also have something I'm trying to run here. That needs to happen. And that's kind of the position you're in, right? It's like you're friendly and friends with people, but you're also running a business, and you're trying to make a dream happen for yourself, and it takes a lot of work. And you being the one who's kind of like the captain of that ship, you got to make sure no matter what, if someone's not showing up, you got to be there. I mean, that's just how it works, right?
And it wasn't even an issue until about 3 months ago when early in September, somehow, some way, I had probably 20 kids sign up in the course of a week. Which almost a little less than doubled, the enrollment. Probably doing about.
So word's getting around.
30 kids or so who were, pretty consistent, and then, we're up to probably 55 or 60 right now. And not everybody comes every day, obviously, but steady classes of 20 kids in each class. It's time to put some more hours on the schedule, just so I could have less kids in a class and then coach them better. Because when it gets a little hectic sometimes, you miss something here or there, and you don't want that to happen. And then personal training, something else that's kind of taken off, where it's like kids are coming in, they're like, okay, this is great. I want more. I
want individual attention.
So like something that started as a coach, I find myself in an entrepreneurial role, which is weird. I didn't envision this part of it. I figured, okay, we'll get like 10 or 15 kids. It'll be good. I'll be able to coach. Play, make a little bit extra money. Put some more money back into CFBB for giving me this opportunity. And then it's something that's just kind of exploded, and I'm happy that it has. But it's
a happy explosion.
And it's with that, it's created a new problems, which aren't necessarily bad problems. They're just
No.
something I got to find a solution to.
They're opportunities. I look at
Absolutely.
problems as opportunities.
Absolutely.
Opportunities for growth and to try to figure out how to, when you resolve them, you end up in a better place.
Yeah, like I'm scheduling for, January and February right now. I got 3 baseball teams and a lacrosse team that
Okay.
I've all worked with in the past to come in on top of
everybody you
all the
have
other
current.
stuff.
Yeah.
So I mean,
getting busy.
Getting busy.
Getting busy, man. That's good. What do you think the biggest obstacle for someone who's trying to get into training now is? I mean, like as far as like what you see with the kids, even. What do you think the biggest obstacle with the kids is right now, or is there one? There might not even be a huge obstacle there, but
I mean, it's a low barrier of entry. Just show up. But as far as being ready to go, I have one kid who can't squat.
Okay.
Can't squat. His hips,
won't let him.
I've never seen anything like it. So we are working our way towards a squat.
Yeah.
And it's
Doing a lot of mobility work, obviously.
Mobility, but just the movement of the squat and not allowing him to cheat his way out of it to get to a depth.
Yeah.
Could he get his butt to touch the floor? Sure, but he's going to be on his toes and his knees are going to be all the way out here.
Yeah.
And
It's
his
just
chest
really
is gonna be
bad
down towards
form.
the ground.
Yeah.
And how he got that way, I have no idea. That's a pretty common one. Squatting is very challenging for a lot of kids.
Squatting. I mean, I see that in adults too when they come in for the first time, like the first, for first several months. People come in a lot, and they a lot of times don't have that natural squatting ability, whereas. That should be almost a natural movement for people.
Should. Yeah.
I mean,
if we didn't have toilets, you'd figure out how to squat.
yeah, it's a functional movement. I mean, it really is. It's something, you needed to do for forever since the dawn of time.
Yeah.
But somehow evolution has kind of taken it away from us. And we're trying to get it back piece by piece, I guess.
But I also want to give credit to that kid because he recognizes the problem.
Yeah.
And he's not in a rush to put a barbell on his back like the other kids.
Yeah.
Some kids will be like, well, I want to do that. It's like, okay, well, you're not ready for that.
Yeah.
And you got to have this long talk with them, and, you got to bring them down gently.
Yeah.
And like, hey, we're going to
try to preserve the esteem, the self-esteem.
We're going to get there, but,
Yeah.
we can't go that way yet.
Yeah.
And this kid, luckily, he recognizes that he does have a problem and that we're going to fix it. And it is getting better. It's just not where we need it to be yet.
Yeah.
They said, and that's to go back to like the high school weight room. That's something where they would just throw a weight on his back and say squat, and he'd get
he'd get hurt. He'd get hurt.
Something would certainly tear in this kid, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
Well, that's that old weight hides bad form.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, well, think about that. And it's something that I've always kind of told. If you can't do a movement perfectly without weight,
Yeah.
you're just sure you put. Like let's say you get 135 pounds, put it on someone's back, they do a squat. The form isn't right, not great, they can't do it well. Then you take 200 pounds, you put it on their back. The squat may look better, but you're forcing it. You're pushing things. Sometimes you push things and then they tear.
Yeah.
Because the weight is actually forcing you to the right position rather than you actually being able to get to that position. Yeah. And that's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, and that's where kids are pliable.
Yeah.
So it gets hidden in a lot of high school weight rooms, but you don't want to develop those bad habits either.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that does happen. A big one is the bench press that stops 4 inches above the chest. That's a big one that never.
Yeah.
I mean that I remember seeing that when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Like, well,
hit the chest. Hit that.
I mean, like you did it, but you didn't really do it.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of, I've seen people do that in push-ups too. Push-ups, pull-ups. I've seen
Yeah.
Well, you didn't quite get there, but I mean, it's a good effort.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing today is kids don't know how to be uncomfortable. They don't
Yeah.
And one kid's like, "Oh, I'm sweating." I'm like, "Well, yeah, it's kind of why you're here."
It's 100 degrees, so yeah, and you're working out. So.
Or to be uncomfortable and learn that you're not gonna die.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be a little bit out of breath. You're supposed to be sweaty. You're supposed to be in the bottom of that squat. And it's gonna be a fight to stand up. Especially as the weights get heavier and just
you have to be. What is it saying? Comfortable with being uncomfortable.
yeah.
You got to get used to it in a way.
Especially when it comes to days when we do conditioning runs. And it's
and your heart rate's up and
and got your rest, and now we're going again.
Well, that's what a lot of us, that's why I think it's amazing when CrossFit came out and Coach Glassman's methodology, and it's evolved a lot over the years. I mean, the CrossFit Games have evolved. Everything's evolved a lot. People have gotten amazingly stronger. I mean, I don't even know where to begin there. But, the thing is you have this concept of getting your heart rate up and then picking up heavy weight, right? Which is kind of, one of those things that's like, you want to be uncomfortable? That's how you do it. That's a good way to get uncomfortable.
And, I mean, you don't notice it in the field of play so much because, if you're a football player, a basketball player, whatever, pitcher, you're bearing down in that moment. Like, if you're a pitcher and you got to make your pitch, strike somebody out to get out of the jam, like, that's uncomfortable, but you're not thinking of it in those terms.
Yeah.
So one thing we try to do is try to replicate stress in a way that I can control it.
Yep.
Like, hey, we're going to push a little bit here, and I need you to concentrate on one, your technique, and two, pushing your technique to almost its breaking point.
Yeah.
And we don't want to go too far, but we don't want to lay up either.
Yeah.
We want to find that, happy medium where we're challenging our technique, but we're not overdoing it, and we're not sandbagging it either.
Yep.
Because they'll certainly do that if you allow them.
Yeah. They'll just keep it nice and easy for themselves.
Yeah. And that's part of the coach's eye that comes in. Like, you see a kid and he's doing the movement, or it's even like a sled push, something real simple. It's like, you can go faster.
You can go faster or put more weight on.
Yeah. Somehow
to make the intensity
Yes.
higher.
Yes.
Right? Because that's what you want. You want high intensity, and that's part of the cycle, right? You might start with, I know my cycles are usually, it's usually a 3 to 4 or a 4 month cycle, and it would be a lot of volume, ton of volume, lower intensity. And then it slowly drops in volume and increases in intensity all the way through to the end of that cycle. Then you test out everything, and then you do it again, or something different. So
intensity goes up, volume goes down, volume goes up, intensity goes down.
Exactly, and that's and in that period you got to constantly be evaluated. So, and that's the importance of coaching, right? Someone can evaluate you and say, okay, this is working, this isn't. Let's adjust this. Let's adjust that. This is too easy. I ran into that today, as a matter of fact. I did a workout, and I did Tabata, which I hardly ever do, and I realized very quickly that I programmed it too easy for myself, and I was like, damn it. So then I had to change it. But
and that's what was I going to say?
You had something.
I
hate that. Sorry, man.
It's all right.
I caused you to lose it. Oh man.
But what the fuck was it?
I don't know. It was there. I saw it there. I saw it there, and then it just,
It went away.
Yeah, I do that. I do that all the time, man.
The kids, the kids aren't any different than you and I were kids. It's really the environment around them is different now. You know, like you said,
the environment's changed, not the kids.
Sun would come up and be like, okay, go outside. Don't come back till it's dinner time.
Yep.
Now it's like,
don't go outside. Stay where I can see you because it's dangerous out there.
Put on the SPF 100.
Yeah.
Don't do this. Don't talk to strangers.
Well, yeah, and in a lot of ways, I think it's validated by all the stuff people hear today. I think our communication, the amount of stuff you see on social media now, the amount of stuff that's on the news. I mean, people didn't. I think if that was going on when we were kids, we'd have the same thing. Don't go outside. Yeah. You crazy? Now the kind of thing that there's a name for it. If someone raises their children like we were raised, it's called free range parenting.
Yeah.
My parent, they just called it parenting. I mean, you walk to school. I walked to school by myself at 10 years old.
Yeah.
Now you'd get arrested for that. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. But and in some ways, maybe it's justified because you hear about a lot of horrible things. But these are things I think been going on forever. It's just now you hear about it all the time.
It's one of those, if you look at the actual statistics, it's safer now than ever.
Yeah.
It's just that everything is so reported on so many outlets, and there's so much media,
you're bombarded by
social media. It's like, oh man, world's it's going to hell in a handbasket, and it's really not true.
No,
it really isn't true.
And it causes us to kind of, you got the helicopter parents now that just constantly want to, and like I said, everybody parents the way they parent. It's nothing, nothing wrong with it. You just got to kind of realize that maybe, we can't wrap our kids in Nerf, and hope they're, at some point you got to say, go play.
And we those parents still exist. I have one parent who brings her son's been a member now for a while. And she's like, look, I'm a teacher. She goes, I know my son's a handful. Whatever you need to do, you do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, free rent. There you go.
And then I don't know if you remember, but like Halloween was supposed to thunder and lightning. It ended up not doing it.
Yeah.
But towns were canceling Halloween and rescheduling it for the following day. I was like, put a raincoat on,
and
go trick or treating.
Yeah.
I'm not answering my door on November 1st, so you can get candy. I'm sorry.
I mean, you can't reschedule Halloween.
No,
I'm sorry, you just can't do it. It's whatever's happening on that day. It's still Halloween.
It's like, sorry, it's a monsoon. Halloween's canceled. What are you gonna do? Your parents bought candy. It's in the house. Just eat that candy.
I remember when I was a kid, there was one Halloween. I couldn't tell you what year. I was very young, but I was a robot for Halloween. That's probably how young I was. But I had this big tube on that my uncle had gotten me, and they put these lights on it and all this crap and crazy stuff. And it was snowing and it was icy, and there was we were out trick or treating. And it wasn't parents with us. It was older kids watching us younger kids, and really probably weren't watching us that well. No. But nobody died. We all came back. We got snowed on. I think I tripped on somebody's porch and went into their front door with my head. Maybe banged up their front door or something. But you know what? Nobody died. Everybody came back. It was some weather. Yeah. Weather happens. This is the Northeast, man. If you're scared of weather, then you should probably move south.
Of all the Halloween candy I got over the years, there was never any needles or razors in them,
Well, you heard about it, though. I mean, there's apples with razors in them.
Well, who's handing out an apple on Halloween? What kid is
I've never even gotten an apple.
No.
Ever.
There was the old lady who would give out a penny. Here's a penny.
Yeah. And you're like, oh,
all right. I
great.
walked up this driveway for nothing.
Thanks. If I get about 3,000 more of these.
Yeah. Well, I'll be all right.
So.
Don't spend it in one place, son.
Yeah. Oh God.
Thanks, Grandma.
Wow. Yeah. But yeah, there's a lot. Like I said, but it's good that they have an outlet. Like where you got what you're doing. Like I said, I'm impressed with it. I see how it's growing. The work you're doing with these kids is so important. It's given them a whole lot. That's why I've been talking to you for a couple of months now about getting you on. I'm finally glad we made it happen. We got you on here. Is there anything? Where can people find you? How do they get involved?
Exit 9 SC on Instagram.
Okay.
I don't have a website.
Okay.
You can go to CrossFitBarbending.com. I'm actually on that website.
Okay.
And those are the two best ways to find me on the internet.
Awesome.
If not, you'll find me at a.
And what's a good age? Do you have an age limit of any kind, or is it kind of just you?
Yeah. We allow kids to come in that are 8 years old. Now, obviously, an 8-year-old's not going to be getting.
You're not throwing a couple 100 pounds on an 8-year-old.
No. I had a kid who came in the other day. He's 9. And I was like, all right, here's your kettlebell. Let's put the kettlebell down first. Let's see if you can squat. And he was actually really good.
Yeah.
He was actually really good. And so he was squatting with the kettlebell, and at the same time, 10 feet away, there was a kid squatting, 250 pounds.
Yeah.
Both doing the same thing. They're just doing what's appropriate for them.
Yeah.
And
that's important to be able to scale something to somebody's level at that point. Yeah.
I had a father come in a couple weeks ago. His son's 6. And he really wanted to sign his son up, and I'm like, "Look, man,
he's 6.
He's 6.
Yeah.
Let him climb trees and ride a bike." I said, maybe this is the time you could teach him to do push-ups and squats and pull-ups and do the dad thing,
Yeah.
And he didn't really like that very much.
Yeah. Well,
but I wasn't about to train a 6-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
we have younger kid programs which are more play-oriented. Now I don't do that. That's Lindsay's thing.
Yeah.
But which is where he should be.
Yeah.
And
so that might be a place for him to start with something like that.
And he plays soccer and basketball and does all these other things. I'm like, you're good. You don't need another activity. You're fine.
So about 2 years he'll be able to maybe come in, or 3 years.
Even then,
Yeah. You still got to evaluate and see where someone's at.
Yeah, at that point, as much as I want people to come in, I want you to have context.
Yeah.
Don't think if your kid comes in, they're going to play in the major leagues or the NFL.
Yeah.
They're probably not.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that kid walk in the door yet.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that they're just kids.
Yeah.
Nobody hands out a scholarship to a 12-year-old.
You don't have any of the parents fighting with each other and
not yet.
Beating each other up over because I see that on the internet all the time. Now. It's like at a sporting event, parents fighting and
it's
really just making a nightmare for their kids. Actually, it's really sad. But
let this be
a fun experience.
A fun experience and a tool to teach hard work.
Yeah.
And the hard work can go across any number of...
Teaches you character and ethic.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, I did this today and it was hard. But you know what? I have a math test next week and that's going to be hard. How do I do that? How do I fix that?
Approach it the same way.
I sit down and I grind out the studying and I get it done.
Yep.
You know, I'm going on a job. They get older. I'm going on a job interview and it's going to be hard. Well, how do I do that? You know, I think about what I'm going to say. You know, I put some thought into it. I go to college, finish that up, and then I'm prepared. You know, we're creating mental toughness as much as physical toughness.
Yeah. And it's important.
I think that's important. Like I said, and when the kid...
And I might not win.
Yeah.
I might not win every day. You know, things might, go wrong.
No, and that's...
And that's okay too. I'll survive. You know?
It doesn't affect the younger kids so much because they don't lift.
Yeah.
They're not pushing the boundaries of their strength. The older, the varsity kids, kids are up there in the teens. They miss a lift. Like I had a kid who the barbell just honestly slipped off his back.
Yeah.
And it was only a warm-up set.
Yeah.
It just he got to the top and it wasn't stuck on his shirt the right way, and it slid right into the spotter arms. And he scared the crap out of the other kids.
Yeah.
He was like, he was very apologetic about it. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's a mistake. You made a mistake.
Everybody drops a lift, man. I've done it.
That's why,
many times.
But that's why we preach, like, hey, you're going to be a side spotter. You're going to side spot. Okay?
Yeah.
When somebody's lifting, don't walk in front of them. Don't walk under the bar when somebody's lifting.
You definitely don't want to do that. And don't walk across their vision path either. That's another big, don't distract somebody.
But because they've taken those lessons to heart, nothing happened. He just dropped the barbell. So what?
Yeah.
It happens.
Move on.
Yeah. I'd rather you drop the barbell than get, crumbled up like an accordion.
Well, when you feel that barbell going, the worst thing you can do
hold on.
is hang on to it. Yeah. Let the damn thing go. It's going to hit the ground. Nothing bad's going to happen. If you try and hold it, you might break something.
We've all seen those gym fail videos on Instagram.
Some of my favorite things to watch, actually. They're hard to watch, though, sometimes. Like some of the snatches and how people are dropping the weight. And
it's hard to watch. It's also amazing at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't think he could pull that off. He got crushed, but he stood it up.
But he's sort of, kind of. And, I think we've all had those moments. And, luckily, I don't think anybody was. I have one video that's out there of me failing a box jump that somebody posted, and they slowed it down because it was pretty awful. It was me. It was during the CrossFit Open a few years ago, and I literally hit the top of the box, and my foot slipped, and I just did a face plant.
Was that the dumbbell snatch box jump before workout?
Yes. I believe it was, and Bonnie was Bonnie Ackerman was coach was judging me that day, and she's standing there. You can see her face in this because it was like I just hit that thing, and it's like as I hit the ground, it was like face plant.
Yeah. That'll happen.
But there's like I said, but you know what? Here's the work ethic. I got up and kept going.
Yeah.
Even though that happened, you just get up and keep going. Of course, I repeated that workout because it screwed me up. But what are you gonna do? Shit happens. Anyway, I mean, I appreciate you coming on, man. Is there anything else? Did we miss anything? Is there? I mean, it's been an hour and some change now, so it goes quick, man. I told you. I say that to everybody every time because they're like, "How the heck did it go by that fast?" But is there anything else you want to put out there? Talk about anything that you feel we missed that's important?
No, I mean, other than if you want to reach out, Exit9SC on Instagram. Exit9_strength@gmail. I think is my email address. I should probably have this memorized by now.
You should, yeah. Well, you know what? Send it to me, and I'll put it underneath the post when I post the video and everything, and we'll get the podcast out there, and I'll make sure the contact information's on there as well. So if anybody's in New Jersey, I mean, I would probably say, if you want to attend or have your children attend the Exit 9 training, you probably want to live in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's a hell of a commute. Or CrossFit Barbending as well. It's a great place. I work out there, so I love it. I think it's just one of the most welcoming places that I've been, and I've been to a lot of CrossFit. So. Anyway, that being said, I mean, we're at the end of our time today. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to check out Brian at Exit 9 and at CrossFit Barbending. And be sure to subscribe, tune in to Xtreme Lyfe podcast, and you can find us at XtremeLyfe.com. Also have a whole bunch of stuff coming up. You guys know I have the shark adventure stuff going on. I just recently made a deal to put together a trip out to Cocos Island in 2020. So stay tuned for more information on that. It's going to be a liveaboard trip, really awesome dive trip. So check that out, and just stay tuned.